off, our team is extremely excited to be back. Our coaches are excited to have all our guys. I know it's a great time for our team. We love the brotherhood, the the bond of being together, working out together. Obviously, we're practicing safe social distance. We're complying with everything that the Boone County health officials have asked us to comply with, and want to encourage everybody to wear their masks when social distancing is not able to be done. And so that's why I'm wearing my mask right now, just to prove that it can be done. I will take it off in just a minute, but I just want to reiterate to everybody that we need to mask up. And I know there's a lot of hot topic opinions on it, but I choose to wear my mask because I believe that's in the best interest of what we're trying to accomplish from a public health standpoint. So with that, I'm going to take it off, but just want y'all to know that we're excited about what we're getting to do, the opportunities to be together, play, and get ready for the upcoming season. And with that, I'll turn it over to any questions. I'm sure there's only going to be one or two, and we'll go from there.
All right, guys, don't forget to raise your hands in the queue here. First one comes from Peter Baugh. Peter, go ahead.
Hi, Eli. I guess what's just the general feeling or level of concern among players about football this fall, and how as the head coach do you address and handle that?
Yeah, I don't. It's a great question, Peter. Do you want the long or short answer?
I'll go with the long answer if that's cool.
Very much so. I love to expound on that. I think too much in society, we're trying to be a quick fix, a short answer. As soon as something happens, we make an adjustment. I believe in having a long-term vision and goal. I believe staying true to the course, veering slightly. I don't know how many of y'all have been, I don't know, Peter, how long you've been driving a vehicle, but the first thing you learn about driving a vehicle is you have to keep a distance, right? You have to keep your eyes at a distance. If you look down right in front of you, you're sitting there and you're jerking the car all over the road. And that's what's going on right now in society. Is every day we look at whatever the news is and we try to jerk public course and we try to go this way or this way. I've been adamant with our team, with our coaches, following the direction of the SEC and our administration, that we're scheduled to play a football game on September 5th. And that's my focus. And that's what we're working towards every single day, is how do we play that football game on September 5th within the framework of the rules of what they've asked us to do. And I don't get caught up in public opinion. I'm not a Twitter chaser. I don't chase every opinion or tweet that somebody puts out there and has to have an immediate reaction. I'm focused on what they've asked us to do. I think our commissioner has been very steady in his leadership and steady in his message that there will be no decisions made until the end of July. And so from that standpoint, are there concerns? Maybe there are, maybe they're not. What I've told our team, control what you can control, which is your attitude and effort, your discipline, your training of toughness, and nothing that we're asking them to do in training is going to not be beneficial for them in the long term. I myself have engaged in some training activities in order to lose some weight, and that's not going to hurt me if things are delayed one way or the other. And so, again, to answer the question in the short, that was a long answer, but to answer it short, Peter, is I haven't changed off my vision of a September 5th game and the preparation in order to play that, and I'm not going to get caught up in the everyday press conference or release of information to try to change our organizational structure or how we're going about our business. I believe that causes you to make too many adjustments. I'm driving far with the vision at September 5th, and we'll make adjustments as necessary.
Gotcha. And are you pretty confident with how your
Whoa. Nobody said two questions. Go ahead, Petey. Beat us to the
Thank you. I guess, what's your level of confidence in how seriously your players are taking things with masks and social distancing outside of the facility?
What's my level of confidence?
Yeah, and like your players taking this seriously outside of the facility.
I think our numbers speak for themselves. Look at our
Next.
numbers that have been released compared to everybody else. I think our guys have heeded the message, gone above and beyond to try to ensure that they can do everything possible. I said it last time we were on here. You can do everything right and still get exposed to COVID. That's an unfortunate part, but you don't have to put yourself in an adverse risk situation. You don't have to put yourself in a high exposure situation. And I think our team has done a tremendous job of not doing that so far. Now, the trick is you got to continually do that. This is not a, go through the test line time and you're negative. That doesn't mean that it's going to continue to stay that way. You got to be disciplined, which for us, discipline is choosing the actions that are going to help you meet the standard. You got to continue to do those. Like I got to continually tell the ice cream, no, I'm not going to have another ice cream after dinner tonight.
Next question comes from Mitchell 40 from Power Mizzou. Mitch, go ahead.
Hey, Eli. The Iowa State AD, Jamie Pollard, yesterday kind of wrote like an open letter that I think opened some eyes about some of the aspects of this that haven't been discussed as much. And I was curious if in your mind a case could sort of be made that there are ways in which it could be safer for the student athletes potentially to have a fall football season than to, not and potentially send them outside of this controlled environment where they are right now in a facility with team doctors and all that.
Mitchell, I think that's a tremendous question, but it's one that asks me to be involved in hypotheticals. I haven't read Jamie's letter. I didn't. That's actually the first I've heard about it. And I am not a public health official. I'm not an epidemiologist. I'm a football coach. And to be honest, I'm not sure my opinion on that should carry any weight in any sort of fashion. I tend to rely on the experts for their opinions and then make value judgments about how I live my life based off their opinions. And I don't know that I have any amount of expertise that would be beneficial to share with anybody about that. So great question. I'm not well versed enough in that topic to say one way or the other. I do think that, I've said this before. I do think that our training staff in MU Health have done an outstanding job with taking care of our players, making our guys feel safe, ensuring that our policies and practices are of the highest standards and within the framework of what has been recommended to us to mitigate the effectiveness of this virus.
Next one comes from Dave Matter from the St. Louis Post. Dave, go ahead.
Hey, Eli. Zoom does not like me today, so I'm sorry if this cuts out.
Dave, I was hoping you were on furlough this week, and so I wouldn't have to have questions.
Those are over for now, thankfully. So unless I just disappear again. Greg Sankey has said a lot hinges on kind of the public health numbers that are out there. How much, you kind of made the message early on about the mask. How much do you feel like just kind of hinges on the public cooperating, not just in Columbia, not just in Missouri, but nationwide? This isn't just about what your players are doing or what players everywhere else are doing. It's about the fans too.
Again, our commissioner does a tremendous job, I think, of establishing our message, getting all of us on board with that message and relaying that message. In the layer of hierarchy of what we do within the SEC, the football coach, athletic directors, presidents, chancellors, and then the commissioner. I'm not up to speed on what I've heard that, but I'm not sure exactly what exactly the numbers need to be or what they're looking for or all that. What I know and what I'm suggesting is that we do know that numbers in and around our community are going up. And I don't know about y'all, but I like going to Murray's. I love going to Booch's. I've been known to go to Shiloh's and Shakespeare's Pizza and some of the great spots in Columbia. And I really don't want to have to not be able to go to those places anymore. And so for us to do that in Columbia, in order for my wife not to have to homeschool this fall, we're going to need to wear masks. Now, that also benefits us directly, for playing football too here in Columbia. But yeah, shoot, we're tied to the rest of the country as far as that decision is going to go. But my decision for me is a personal decision because of how it affects me personally on a day-to-day basis. So again, I don't know that I can collectively affect whether or not somebody in Florida is going to wear a mask. But I do feel like that as an avenue of change, I can help recommend that here in Columbia, we wear masks in order to help reduce the exposure of COVID to the rest of our community. And that's really what I'm preaching, Dave. So I don't know if that makes sense to you, but again, there are levels to what we know. And I don't know that there is a number. I do think I've saw where the commissioner said that there wasn't a specific number. He wouldn't reveal what that number was or what it looked like, just that we needed to reverse the trend. And I think we can all agree on this, that we don't like the fact that numbers are going up. We don't like that there's hot spots. And so let's fix it. Let's solve it. Let's do what the experts have suggested and go from there.
All right, next question comes from Eric Blum from the Columbia Daily Tribune. Eric, go ahead.
Hey, Coach. Is there any point in your previous coaching career you can kind of point to where there was either let's call it a sparse stadium, and how did that affect your communication with players from a coaching perspective during that game?
Brother, I've coached in the Sun Belt. There's a lot of sparse stadiums going on, big dog. So, I mean, I'm good. I'm ready to roll. I've coached junior high football where there's 100 people in the stands. I'm not going to throw any specific teams under the bus. There are stadiums that I've been in that were sparse, but I could have probably counted the number of people in a couple of games last year. So.
Next one comes from Parker Rame from KOMU. Parker, go ahead.
Hey, Eli. So I kind of wanted, Dave kind of hit on it earlier, but I wanted to talk about the specific hashtag that's been going around, the hashtag #MaskUpTheZoo, and your role. I mean, obviously you said you can't control what people do in Florida, but you feel like you have sort of some power to at least recommend it here in Columbia. What do you think your role is as a coach, or your platform?
Yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I don't believe I have power. I have influence. There's a certain amount of influence from being the head coach of SEC school, from being the head coach at the University of Missouri and having the logo, on your chest. It gives you a certain amount of credibility when you make conversations. And so I think what we're trying to do is encourage people that it's okay to wear a mask. It's okay to do it. I get there's arguments on both sides. I get that for some reason it's been politicized. I just happen to believe it happens to be good public health policy. Does it solve all the problems? I don't know. I'm a football coach. I know how, in order to get things done, everybody has to buy into a collective mission. For us to end COVID, we got to buy into a collective mission. It may not be a perfect plan. Seldom plans are perfect. Plan your work the plan. They've got a plan in place. Let's all work the plan. And that's what we're trying to do. And we'll see if it works. It ain't going to, I don't know. I guess I'm frustrated with the fact that when people argue against it, it's like, why are we not willing to try it? It's gotten to the point where you got supposedly on Twitter, you got the Corona bros, and then you got the Corona, the guys who think it's fake. And now you've got both sides rooting against each other. Like, I'm just rooting for the United States of America. And I'm just rooting for us to beat the disease. I don't care who's right or wrong.
Next one comes from Gabe DeArmond. Gabe, go ahead.
Yeah, Eli, on recruiting, I think the last I saw, the dead period is through August now. Has there been any talk among you guys, or when do you hit a point where it's unfair to these kids to have an early signing period and do all this stuff when they haven't even been able to be on a campus?
Time and tide wait for no man, Gabe. So I don't know that there's been any discussions. I've not had any discussions about the signing period or how that's going to affect them. What I've told our recruits that we're recruiting, the people that we have conversations with, is we have to change the framework of what our expectation for recruiting's been. In the past, we expected that you're going to be on campus multiple times and you're going to get to see it and all that. That may not be the case this year. Doesn't mean it's impossible to make a decision. Doesn't mean that you can't make a decision. I made a decision to join the University of Missouri as their head football coach, and didn't visit it, but knew that that's where I wanted to be based off the opportunity that was presented to me. And I think we're asking young men to do something very similar. I think what the issue with all of these conversations is we think that if we make the decision to push back signing period, that doesn't have consequences or effects on everybody else, and it does. And so we have to understand that every decision we make is going to have some sort of consequence and effect on the next class or whatever. And so that's why I say the time and tide wait for no man, meaning junior colleges have moved to spring football. Well, what does that do for a young man who graduates in December, and how do you account for that eligibility? And what do you do? Last year when they instituted that the seniors got to come back, and then you got to reclassify. So now you've got 6 classifications on a team that's still going to have a limited number of opportunities to play games. And so now how many people are going to get to play? What kind of problems are we creating based on those decisions? And so I would just say, in making those suggestions, it's important that we understand that there's a lot of levels or layers to those conversations. And I don't necessarily know that it's unfair, but I do know it's unfair if you compare it to the framework of the past. If you reset the framework for what it is, then maybe it's not as unfair.
Next one comes from Nate Edwards from Rock M Nation. Nate, go ahead.
Hey, Coach. I know you don't like to deal with hypotheticals, but I also know you like being prepared. And with the possibility of a only conference schedule and possibly some new teams coming onto the schedule, are you already scouting teams from the West, or how are you doing game prep at this point?
If we play a conference-only schedule, would Lou Saban or Nick Saban be the head coach at Alabama? I'm not going to waste time on hypotheticals and conference-only and all that stuff. Again, if I reacted to every single Twitter chase, every suggestion or everything that went out, I would have gray hair, less hair than I have. I'd be eating Tiger Streak, Andy's custard 3 times a day, because think about what you just asked me. I've heard conference only. I've heard delay. I've heard spring. I've heard signing day changes. Think about all the different suggestions that have been thrown out. And here we are, July 15th, and we're in mandatory practices, and we're rocking and rolling with their mask on, social distancing, preparing to play football. I don't know, man. If we keep chasing hypotheticals, it's going to – so, no, hypothetically, if we play Lou Saban, we'll be, it'll be whatever.
Next one comes from Kaufman. Go ahead, Kaufman.
Everybody got the joke. Everybody understands who Lou is? Okay.
Yeah, yep.
How's it going, Coach?
That'll be as popular as the Kirk Herbstreit deal.
So, Coach, just you mentioned the workouts. So how's the team look? This is what, your 5th or 6th time getting to do things with them since you started?
Man, I told my wife Monday. I guess it was last night. Sorry. I couldn't be more excited to coach a football team. You want to just talk about great kids who are hungry to do exactly what we're asking them to do, who have bought into everything we've asked them. They're doing everything within their power to please the coaching staff, to buy into social distancing, to adjust to change, and they're being courageous and they're being tough and thrilled, just absolutely thrilled. And we've had, players come and go. We've had attrition. We've had, new additions with the grad transfers. We've had all these different things occur, and man, this team's resilient. They've had a coaching change. They've had COVID. They've had, people leave, people come, and they're still here answering the bell every day, trying to get better. And Coach Woodfin's done an unbelievable job of adjusting how we are able to work out, the manner in which we work out, and yet you're still seeing guys transform their bodies. I told
Did Coach just freeze?
Yep.
I'm so glad it wasn't just me that that had the problem. I was like, oh no.
Yeah, they must have lost internet on campus. Well, we'll give it a minute.
So who's going to ask him when he thinks the decision's coming down?
Lou Saban.
Well, I don't even see him in the room anymore, guys. Give it a minute. Sorry.
He was probably just trying to cop out of my tough question there.
I think so.
He hates being back with the guys. He didn't want to tell you that.
Looks like Coach is back. Coach, are you with us?
I'm back.
All
Maybe.
right, looks like we got him back. All right, next question comes from Suichi. We're butting up against the half hour here, guys, so limit it to one as we can get these last couple questions in. So go ahead, Suichi.
Cool. Yeah, Eli, you mentioned this before, the tech freakout. Lots of hypotheticals, I guess, spring season, conference only, all that kind of stuff. I was just wondering, as the CEO of the organization, how do you kind of just pull everyone and make sure, they're doing what they need to do regardless of what happens in the fall?
Yeah, I mean, I think you appeal to their personal responsibility and daily excellence, appeal to the mission of what we're trying to accomplish. I think the senior leadership on our team, we're preaching to them that this is their opportunity to be the 20 Mizzou Tigers and what that matters. And like I said earlier today, there's a quote about being prepared when Winston Churchill talks about, being prepared when the opportunity taps on your shoulder, figuratively, and how terrible it would be if that opportunity knocks and you weren't prepared. And right now we've been told we're playing September 5th, and until that changes, we're preparing like that's the case. And I think as a leader, you communicate honestly and clearly, and that's what we've done, is communicated that's the plan and that's the target. We've communicated with parents and players alike, and with our fans. We're preparing to play.
Next one comes from Common. Go ahead, Common.
Coach, for you, obviously first year head coach, it's just been crazy times with all the COVID and, the civil social justice situation. How different has it been to connect, to connect with your guys during these crazy times? I mean, when you took over Mizzou, a few months back, you wouldn't have expected this.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a challenge. But unfortunately, the world doesn't measure the challenge, they measure the result. And so there's really no excuse. You either did or you didn't. You either connected with your players or you didn't. You either get the job that you're supposed to get done or you don't. And that's the way that we operate. And so I don't have time to make excuses or feel sorry for myself or feel sorry for anybody in this organization about what we've had to deal with. There's a lot of tough things that you have to deal with in life, whether it's in business or bad Zoom connections. They just want to know whether or not you got the job done. Did you answer the questions? Did you prepare your team? And so that's how we're going about it. There's no excuse making. We've got real issues that we've got to fix. We've got players that we've got to develop. We've got schemes that we have to install. We got great teams on our schedule that we have to play against. And so, we got to be prepared for that moment when it comes. And if we're not prepared, there's not going to be an excuse clause called COVID-19.
All right, next one comes from Max Baker, and then we'll close it with a question from Dave Matter. So go ahead, Max.
Hey, Eli. Can you hear me okay?
I don't take questions from somebody riding in the car with GPS.
Oh, can you hear the GPS?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Let me.
Oh, you're good.
Oh, okay. I was just wondering, as someone who's assistant coaches, and I think yourself talked about building relationships, quickly with players coming into this new, environment and system. Is building a relationship, are you the type of person that's going to be able to address that, like, is open to addressing the concerns of players who are, like, I really want to play, and then there's also the players that maybe are a little bit more hesitant and say, maybe I don't feel comfortable? Are you kind of that bridge, or is that sort of for somebody else?
Max, do you have any brothers or sisters?
I have one sister.
Yeah. We call it a brotherhood. All right. And the thing about a locker room is rich, poor, people from all different races, religions, creeds, all different come together for a united purpose. And we don't ignore those differences. We embrace those differences, talk about them, and then come to a singular focus and conclusion on how are we going to move forward together. And so in no way shape, form, or fashion do we limit our players' expressions or discussions or conversations, whether it's parents who feel that they need to discuss the way we're handling these situations with COVID or handling any type of situations, or our players, we embrace those conversations, and then we determine the direction of how we're going to move forward. And the direction for how we're moving forward is that we're going to play a football game on September 5th. And these are the precautions that we've put in place, and we'd like to work towards that goal. And that's what we're going for. It doesn't mean that there's not internal disagreements. It doesn't mean that there's not internal conversations, but when we leave that locker room, when we leave those meetings, we're all united under our logo and under our mission.
All right, Dave, wrap us up.
Dave's on mute. Dave is still on mute.
I'm trying here. Got me now?
Gotcha.
Okay. I actually have a football question, if that's okay. But if
that'd be refreshing.
Yeah. Okay. So camp starts in about 3 weeks. Do you offensively, do you just kind of pick up where you left off? Does it all kind of have to come together in those few weeks? Do you have a good sense of what you have offensively going into that month?
Yes, no, yes. We're going to pick off on where we left off. We have spent a tremendous amount of time in the summer and on Zoom calls, reteaching, reinstalling, relearning, but the game is about doing and action, and you're going to have to go out there and practice, and that's really the component that we've got to really focus on. I don't have a tremendous sense of what we have because I haven't seen all the pieces work together. I do know that we've added some really good pieces, and the fact that nobody asked about Kiki Chisholm on this phone call blows my mind, because that dude's an absolute freaking stud in a steal, and couldn't be more excited about this young man transferring into our program and being just an unbelievable person, great character, former high school quarterback that's really developed himself into a tremendous player and potential NFL player. And to be able to add him with a young man like Dame Hazelton on the outside. I mean, our quarterbacks, whoever our quarterback is, has added two tremendous weapons that are going to be tremendous. You've got great, I believe Larry was acknowledged by Jim Nagy on the Reese's Bowl yesterday about his ability. You got Tyler Beatty, who's got just electric speed and vision, and so we know we do have pieces. It's just a matter of those pieces coming together, and that's our job as coaches, is to get those pieces all pushed in the same direction as quickly as possible. And so, yeah, we'll pick up where we left off and keep pushing. And I'm excited about. I don't know if y'all can tell I'm excited about those guys. And look, I know I mentioned Kiki and Dame because they're new, but that doesn't mean I'm not extremely excited about Jalen Knox and Toski Dove and Dom Jacinto and Michael Wilson and CJ Boone and the freshman JJ Hester and Chance Looper and Chris Abrams Drain and Jay Macklin and Barrett Bannister, because for us, a key component is always compete. And so there's going to be great competition in that room. And I'm excited about who steps up. And those guys are going to be – one of these days, y'all might actually get to see them in person, and you'll realize why I've spoken so highly of the way those guys look. Because, wow, those guys look like SEC receivers now.
Yeah. Thanks.
All right, Coach, with that one, we'll let you go. So thanks for jumping on.
Appreciate y'all. Have a good day.